This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Monday, August 22. In Squiz Kids Today, a tale of two weather extremes. The Zulu crown a king, cross-country parachuting, and a seal in the living room. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
It was a tale of two extremes on opposite sides of the planet over the weekend, as parts of New Zealand flooded thanks to torrential rains, while large parts of the Northern Hemisphere sweltered in heatwave conditions, with some of the biggest rivers in the world starting to dry up. Climate change is being blamed for the state of affairs with rivers in the Northern Hemisphere, with new pictures taken from space showing some of the most famous rivers in the world drying up from a lack of rain. The Rhine, the Danube, the Loire, and the Po rivers in Europe are all suffering from heat exhaustion, while the flows of the Yangtze River in China and the Colorado River in America are all dwindling too. Most people on the planet depend on rivers in some way, whether for drinking water, to water food crops, or to ship goods. I've stuck a link to the photos from space in today's episode notes. Meanwhile, across the ditch in New Zealand, towns in both the North and South Island have had to be evacuated after torrential rains and flooding. A state of emergency has been declared in places like Nelson at the top of the South Island, with more rain expected over the coming days. Stay safe over there, Kiwi Squiz Kids.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in South Africa, where a new king was crowned over the weekend. Now, you might be thinking, hang on a minute, South Africa is a democracy, not a monarchy. But the Zulu people, who are the biggest ethnic group in South Africa, have had a king since the 1800s. And although the Zulu king doesn't have official political powers in modern-day South Africa, he's still influential, given that 12 million people, or 1/5 of the South African population, are Zulu. The old king died over a year ago, and it's taken this long to resolve arguments within the royal family over who should succeed him. Succeed, in this sense, means to follow. The new king was crowned in a ceremony featuring thousands of Zulu people dressed traditionally, holding spears, shields, singing and drumming. I've put a video in your episode notes, and I have to say, it's pretty spectacular.
Squiz Kids salutes.
And today it's a great big Squiz Kids salute to the two daring Aussies who have just flown 4,000 kilometres across the country from Perth to Byron Bay in a paramotor. A what? I hear you ask. A paramotor is made up of a parachute with a chair attached and a big old propeller behind the chair which pushes you forward through the sky. I've stuck a link to a video explainer in today's episode notes. Two friends who love paramotoring decided they wanted to challenge themselves, plus raise some money for charity along the way, and so they set off 4 weeks ago to cross the entire Australian continent by paramotor. And on the Friday morning just gone, 4 weeks after taking off from Perth, they touched down on the beach at Byron Bay. One of the men, called Gary, said he wanted to do it to prove it was possible to chase your dreams, and also because it was important not to avoid doing things that scared you. I think there's something in that for all of us.
Animal Kingdom.
There was proof at the weekend in New Zealand that teenage seal pups are just like their human teenage counterparts. A little bit cheeky, a little bit adventurous, and always kind of sort of getting up to mischief. At least that's what a family in Mount Maunganui discovered on the weekend after a seal pup scampered through 2 cat flaps to break into their house. The pup spent an hour or so exploring the house. Apparently it quite liked the living room. And according to the homeowners, it seemed to take special delight in terrorising the family's pet cat, which was so freaked out by the intruder that it ran and hid in the neighbour's house. Eventually, the seal pup took itself back outside, where it was picked up by animal conservationists and returned to the nearby sea. What a cheeky pup.
Time for the Squiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What sort of flying contraption did two men just cross Australia in? Yeah, that's right, it was a paramotor. Question number 2. What's the name, starting with Z, of the people in South Africa who have just crowned a new king? Yeah, that's right, it's Zulu. Z-U-L-U. Question number 3. What animal clambered through not one, but 2 cat flaps to have a snoop around a New Zealand family's house at the weekend? Yeah, that's right, it was a seal pup.
Shout-outs.
It's August 22. 2 days until my birthday. Woohoo! Birthday today of pop star Dua Lipa and carpool karaoke king James Corden. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. George from Ainsley, Bella from Mansfield, Mia from Sydney, Zasha and Jessie from Lismore, Poppy from Eltham, Sophie from Victoria, Elliot from Glenhaven, Hugh from The Gap, Carrie from St Mary's, Shasha from Bellingen, Chantel from Balaclava and Yin from American River on Kangaroo Island. And a belated birthday shout-outs go to Charlotte from Brisbane and Abigail from Ivanhoe. And classroom shout-outs today go to Miss Guy and Year 6 at Murrumbara Public School, Class 6B and Ms Webb at Dacabin State School, Year 5 and Mr Bruce at Our Lady of the Rosary School in Caloundra, Year 5 and 6 classes with Miss Hunt at Turvey Park Public School, and Mrs Ruth at St Thomas More Primary School in Mount Eliza. And a special shout out today goes to Murphy of Sydney, who I hear took time out of his busy schedule on Saturday to be a hero of a helper for his cousin Carter, and also for me. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.